So I saved the most confusing module for last because it is unfortunate AJHSynth doesn't have information about this module. There doesn't even appear to be a user manual for this one. So like the Behringer System 100 297 module, this one is a bit of a mystery to me. I only ended up with it because it came in the MiniMod extended setup I bought off someone from Reverb who had invested in the CV Mixer module. I do find it extremely hilarious that on the webpage it actually says, this is possibly the most useful utility module that can be added to a modular system. You'll wonder how you ever managed without it. And then crickets. Almost zero information for noobs on what the fuck this thing is so helpful with. Alright, enough whining. Let's see what we can discover. The description of it is, this module is a 4-channel polarizing mixer, amplifier, inverter, voltage source, and DC coupled VCA with switchable CV offset. What a mouthful. Well, they're right. How could I ever have lived without this before? Some uses may be converting your bipolar plus minus 5 volt signals to a unipolar 0 to 5 volt. I'll show a screenshot of what AJH website considers an in-depth dive into this module. Starting with the output, of course, whatever's going on in this module exits through this single out jack. I'm assuming the output knob further attenuates whatever voltage ends up at the out jack. This is where we're going to wire first so you can observe visually and audibly what might be going on. So I have out going right here to data. I have the data spy phone right here, watching the green trace because we're plugged into the first channel. If I raise this knob here, knob 1, I'm opening my filter. That's all this is doing right now. I'm generating voltage. So without anything jacked in, this pot becomes a voltage source or generator in a large range from plus minus 6 volts, which is 12 volts peak to peak. Can you see here, without any voltage coming out, it's at minus 6 volts. And if I raise this knob all the way up, you can see we're at 6 volts. So that's quite a voltage range on that. I can see this being useful if you want a voltage source coming from the out jack, but if you only want the bipolar voltage source, you literally cannot use the rest of the module, which is kind of odd. We'll talk about that as we go on. So for input 2 and pot 2, there's nothing even written about that on the website at all. So your guess is as good as mine on that one. With 5 volts coming out of precision voltages into the in2 jack and the knob set to 12 o'clock, nothing changes. But if I start rotating this counterclockwise, so now the filter gets opened because now we're at 0 volts. Roughly. And if I turn it the other way, we're at like a negative 10 volts. Input 3 has a built-in 2 times gain to the input voltage. So if we're talking about 5 volts in this wire and the pot is turned all the way down, it's going from a negative 6.2 volts all the way to a positive 4.68 or something like that. So I got, again, 5 volts here times 2 would be plus 4. Yeah, okay. I guess that math works. And again, as you're turning these potentiometers, this is the thing I'm not really sure what I'm looking at, because I'm turning the pot up and the filter's closing. Well, I guess maybe I was putting out a negative voltage. Oh, I am putting out a negative voltage. All right, so I guess that makes a little sense. Now our last one is this pot 4. So this pot can be used as a CV offset for the in4 CV, as well as the VCA out voltages. I don't really want to fuck with that. I do wish that AJH synths in general did a better job of labeling ins and outs like other manufacturers. So true story. For 2 years, I was not aware that the master jack on the dual cascading VCA was an input. All this time I thought it was an output because it was not clearly labeled with inverse text and background like so many other modules do. Just a complaint, especially for how pricey these modules are. I don't know. Somebody please tell me what the usefulness of this is. I have 5 volts coming in. I turn the pot up to get to 0 volts from a -6. If I turn it down, I get nothing. I get nothing because I'm down below the threshold. And then if I flip the switch down to inverse this, now I don't get anything going up, but I'll get something going down because it's inversed. I mean, I guess that makes sense like that, but what good does that do? So now I've taken all 3 outputs from precision voltage and round them into 1, 2, and 4 pots down here, and I wind up with getting a little bit of an understanding of what might be going on. The fact that these all affect each other in some way. And I mean, I get the idea of summing voltage. You're adding all these voltage sources, like 15 volts coming in these wires, and then you're using these 3 pots to offset them and mix them together. That then comes out this one wire and goes to wherever your destination is. I just don't see the use of this. So that's the thing I want to ask you guys, the community. What use is this? It's supposed to be the most useful utility in all of modular, but I'm not seeing it because I don't know. And I'm not saying it isn't useful. I'm saying I don't understand its usefulness. And I'm begging for someone to tell me, what is the usefulness of having multiple inputs that I then turn pots to just make what one pot would do? You know what I'm saying? It's like, either it's going to be 0 to 5 volts with one wire, or it's going to be 0 to 5 volts with 15 volts with all these offsets set. That's the thing I don't understand. So I think with that, I think the conclusion, well, let me conclude this, what I've got here in my little script. As for a summary of these CV utility modules, I do not know what the use they have for modular. So see, this is what I wrote months ago. I just haven't become that advanced yet. So I'll have to take your word for it that CV mixers are the most useful module ever. I mean, besides VCAs and besides VCFs and VCOs and clocks and dividers and sequencers and yeah. Okay, I'm being snotty now. And as a final note, if I got rid of anything in this rack, it would be this module. So it's up to you to convince me that this is the most useful module in the history of modules. Thank you.